Ever catch yourself reading something, maybe for work, maybe just because, and you're like, okay, I should get this, but it's not really clicking.
Oh, yeah. Like it's just kind of floating around up there, not sinking in.
Exactly. It's like trying to hold water in your hands. It's there, but slippery. But what if there was a simple way to really make those ideas stick? A way to just get it, like, deeply.
That's the dream, isn't it? And it's a struggle we all have. We've been looking at all sorts of ways to learn better, and there's this one technique pops up again and again in studies. Super powerful, seems to work across the board. It's called self-explanation.
Right. And we've got some serious research on this, not just like one study, a whole meta-analysis, meaning they crunched the data from tons of individual studies on this topic.
So we're not talking about just one person's opinion here. This is like the combined wisdom from a huge range of learning situations, a real deep dive.
Exactly. So our mission today is threefold, right? What is self-explanation? Why does all this research say it works so well? And most importantly, how can our listeners use it to actually learn better?
Love it. Let's break it down. Starting with the basics. What are we even talking about when we say self-explanation? What does that look like in real life?
Yeah, paint us a picture.
Well, imagine you're learning something new. Self-explanation is like
Mm.
you're building these little mental bridges between the new stuff and what you already know.
So it's not just passively absorbing the info, it's like actively connecting the dots.
Exactly. It's conscious, something you do on purpose, and it can apply to all sorts of things. Figuring out how some complex system works, like the internet, walking through a recipe step by step, understanding why some historical figure did what they did, even grasping the main points of a really dense article. It's all about making those connections in your own head.
So how is this different from just summarizing what you've learned or explaining it to a friend? Is it kind of like thinking out loud while you study?
Those are all good strategies too, but self-explanation. It's all about you, making the information make sense to you, filling in the gaps in your understanding. And that means it can even happen silently, just inside your head.
Aha. So even if you do say it out loud, it's really tailored to your own way of thinking.
Totally. Might not make sense to anyone else. But that's okay, because the goal is to make it click for you.
Okay, I'm seeing the distinction. So this meta-analysis, did it actually show that self-explanation leads to better learning?
Oh yeah. Early on, researchers noticed this pattern at Planer. Students who seemed to naturally explain things to themselves as they went along, they tended to do better in school, like across the board.
But as we always say, correlation doesn't equal causation, right? Maybe the better students were just more likely to do that anyway, for whatever reason.
Absolutely. Smart cookie. That's why the research on prompted self-explanation is so cool. They literally told people, hey, explain this to yourself. And guess what? Huge difference.
Really? So being told to do it actually made people learn better?
You bet. There's this one study, Lynn and Atkinson, college students learning about the cardiovascular system using diagrams. One group, they got prompted with open-ended questions after each diagram, like how does this work? The other group just took notes. The explainers aced the test afterwards, no contest.
Wow, that's pretty convincing. So how many studies are we talking about in this meta-analysis? Was it like a handful or?
Oh, way more than a handful.
Mm.
They combined findings from 69 different results. That's 69 across 64 individual research papers.
Whoa, so this is like the big picture view, huh?
The whole enchilada.
Yeah.
And they found an average effect size. That's how researchers measure the impact of something of G equal 0.55.
Right.
That's pretty big in education research terms.
So this isn't just a good idea. It's seriously backed up by the data. Here's a thought. How does explaining it to yourself compare to, like, just having someone give you a good explanation?
Oh, good question. Gets to the heart of it. There's this idea called the coverage hypothesis. Basically says that self-explanation works because it's like filling in missing info. Same as if a teacher explained it well or a textbook.
So the benefit comes from having all the pieces, regardless of where they come from.
Right. Makes sense.
Right.
Right. But here's the twist. This meta-analysis, they found something wild. Self-explanation, even when done alone, was actually more effective than just being given the explanation straight up.
Seriously. So struggling to figure it out yourself beats just being told the right answer.
Seems counterintuitive, right? But yeah, that's what the data says. Both are better than nothing, of course, but self-explanation on its own. Bigger impact overall. Pretty cool, huh?
That is wild. Why would that be? Why is the act of generating the explanation so powerful?
Researchers think it's because you're really engaging your brain, actively digging into what you already know, trying to pull up relevant info from your memory, then linking it to this new stuff. It's like building a map in your head versus being handed a pre-made one. More effort, but you know the terrain way better afterwards.
Makes sense. You're not just following someone else's directions, you're blazing your own trail.
Love that. And there's research on this too. Some studies even combine self-explanation with access to a teacher's explanation, just in case. You know what they found. Sometimes just the self-explanation alone worked better.
Crazy, right?
Whoa, really?
Yeah.
Why would having the answer handy actually be worse?
Well, think about it. If you know the answer is right there, you might not try as hard to figure it out yourself. No need to struggle, no need to really think it through.
Oh, like why bother? I can just look it up. Yeah, I get that.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're convinced self-explanation is amazing, but how do we actually do it? What kind of questions should we be asking ourselves? Great question. This meta-analysis looked at all sorts of ways to prompt people before they learn something, during, after, and whether the prompts were super specific to the topic or more general.
So, like, explain this specific concept versus how does this work in general?
Exactly. And guess what? No significant difference in how well those types of prompts worked. So good news, you don't need to overthink it.
Phew. So what about the format of the prompt? Did it matter if it was a question or a command or...
Oh, they tested a bunch. Direct questions like, why did this happen? No. Commands like, explain how this works, even fill in the blanks, multiple choice. Mostly, no huge difference. Except one interesting thing, multiple choice prompts. Didn't seem to do much at all.
Huh. I would thought that would be helpful, kind of guiding you towards the right answer.
You'd think so, right? But researchers think maybe those options, they actually give away too much. You're not really building your own explanation anymore. You're just trying to pick the best match. More research is needed for sure.
Makes you wonder if the struggle is part of what makes it work, huh? What about the kind of explanation? Like, do you ask people to justify their thinking or explain the concept itself or what?
Good point. They looked at that too. Justifying your answer, explaining a concept, describing a process, reflecting on your learning, that's metacognitive, even predicting what will happen, anticipatory. Turns out, conceptual explanations, those that really define and dig into the meaning, those were most effective. More so than like thinking about how you're learning.
Makes sense to me. Understanding the what seems pretty crucial if you're trying to learn the material, right?
Exactly. And just a side note, those anticipatory explanations where you predict what will happen next, those seem super powerful, but only one study looked at it. So more research needed. But the overall message is clear. Lots of different ways to self-explain. Most of them work pretty darn well.
That's good to know. No need to stress about finding the perfect prompt. Just got to do something. Now, what about time? Self-explanation, it seems like it'd take way longer than just reading through stuff normally.
True. Does usually take a bit more time up front. The meta-analysis looked at that, and yeah, slightly bigger benefit when it took longer. But statistically speaking, not a huge difference overall.
So it's worth the extra minutes, potentially even more efficient in the long run because you learn it better.
That's the idea. Although, gotta be honest, a lot of the studies they looked at didn't track time very carefully. So hard to say for sure. Definitely something future research should focus on, getting that time data.
Agreed. Got to know the investment versus the payoff. You said this meta-analysis, it looked at a bunch of other factors too, right? Like what you're learning, where you're learning it. Anything else jump out at you?
Oh yeah, tons of stuff. Problem solving versus reading, facts versus skills, online versus print. And you know what? Self-explanation pretty much worked across the board. Didn't matter much what you were learning or how. Pretty robust strategy, it seems.
That's awesome. So versatile. Any weird exceptions or interesting tidbits?
One thing was really interesting. Studies done in East Asia, those showed even bigger benefits from self-explanation. Significantly bigger compared to other parts of the world.
Huh. Why would that be? Culture thing, maybe.
Researchers think maybe it's because those East Asian studies, lots of them focused on learning from text. And they often compared self-explanation to doing basically nothing extra. Those kinds of studies, they tended to show bigger benefits overall. Or maybe, and this is fascinating, maybe it's cultural. Some research suggests that students in East Asia, they might be more used to rote learning memorization. So when they get asked to explain things in their own words, it's a bigger shift, more powerful.
That's so cool. Same strategy, different impact depending on the context. So no matter what, seems like trying to explain things to yourself is a good move.
Definitely. Active beats passive. Pretty much every time. Whether it's a new idea or a new skill, self-explanation seems to help.
Okay, listeners, time for the action plan. How do you actually start doing this?
Easy peasy. Make it a habit. Read a section, listen to a lecture, try a problem, then pause. Ask yourself, why is this important? How does this connect to what I already know? Then try to answer. Out loud, in your head, doesn't matter. Don't worry about getting it perfect. It's the effort that counts.
So no need for fancy speeches or written essays. Just got to put it in your own words.
You got it. Even that little bit, research shows it makes a difference. And as you learn more, revisit those explanations, tweak them, refine them. That back and forth, that's where the real deep understanding happens.
Like constantly updating your mental notes as you get more info. Love it. This
Yeah.
has been so eye-opening. A simple technique, but man, powerful stuff.
It's amazing, right? And researchers are still figuring out all the details, but the core message is loud and clear. Actively explain things to yourself. It works.
So, listeners, next time you're learning something, give this a try. Pause, think about what you've just encountered, and ask yourself, what does this mean to me? How does this fit with what I already know? And see what happens when you try to put it into your own words.
Here's a challenge for you. How can you make self-explanation a regular part of your learning routine? Try out different ways of prompting yourself and see what works best for you. Pay attention to how it affects your understanding, your memory, the whole shebang.
And hey, maybe in a future deep dive, we can explore some of those specific prompting techniques or how self-explanation works with other learning strategies. It feels like we're just scratching the surface here, you know?
Absolutely. Learning is a lifelong journey,
Yeah.
and self-explanation, that's a giant leap forward.